Hey everybody, Dr. Evan Hirsch here. Welcome to another amazing interview. So today we've got Kimmye Bohannon with us. So she's an avid juice drinker, CEO of the Weekly Juicery, and the founder of the Juice Ritual program, which I'm so excited to talk about today. She started the Weekly Juicery in her home in 2012 as a juice delivery service with a goal of making cold-pressed juices convenient for busy people. The original 4 juices on her menu included only vegetables with no fruit, which is an important part of her mission to make juices to support fasting. In the early days, Kimmye only made juice Monday through Friday, no juice on the weekends, hence the name The Weekly Juicery. Today, she's still making great juice and teaching customers all about the power of juice to help them chase good health. Now today, there are 4 Weekly Juicery retail locations and a thriving online juice delivery service for customers all over the US. The Juice Ritual is open nationwide and includes everything you need from your guided juice fast each month, shipped right to your doorstep. Kimmye also leads seasonal extended guided juice fasts each year for clients that want a longer guided fast experience for 3, 6, or 9 days. Kimmye, thanks so much for being with me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and it's good to see you again.
You too.
Yes.
That's right. So let's dive into this. So I'm super curious about how you got started with all this. Why juice?
Well, I found myself a few years ago, and that's generally a really good place to start because I think a lot of people really don't realize this kind of like what I call magic bullet power of juice. We're always searching for that magic bullet, right? And, in this integrative health, we know there's really not one. So it's kind of a joke, but it really feels that way to me. It's sort of like this magic bullet and this magic combo that you can do to really up level your life. You feel it instantly. And what happened to me, as maybe happened to you at some point in your journey, is I felt like I was way too young to feel way so old. And that was sort of, you've heard that experience of like a freaking aging in dog years over here. I had 3 really young children, like 4, 3, and 1, super close together. And I was, just felt like I woke up every day feeling less vibrant and sort of alive and, than I did the day before. It's like I was aging at an accelerated rate. And I think what I've learned is that I probably just was not putting the right inputs into my body. I've always been in my life. I come from very active parents, and so I've always been an active person. But I haven't always really had my nutrition dialed into the level that I do now. And I was missing this kind of like magic bullet power of really fresh plants moving into my system with regularity. So I really happened upon it in Dr. Google land of how you might, flood your body with a lot of plants, really change. I was trying to change my diet from just more mainstream to more plant-based. And how would I do that right? And so way back in the year 2012, right? So juice bars, not on every corner. You were a lonely juice drinker if you were drinking juice in that time, like out hugging trees and all that sort of thing. And so, it was pretty lonely, right? And I came across a lady by the name of Natalia Rose. She wrote a book called Detox for Women. And in it, she gave some juice recipes. And she pretty much said, listen, if you want to grow younger, you want to reverse your trips around the sun, I think that was her sort of coined phrase, then you need to be drinking lots of plants. And so she provided a few recipes, and I bought a juice machine, started making it. And I mean, within a week, I felt like a different person. I had 16 ounces, maybe 18 or 20 back in that day, because I was making it at home in my counter, and I felt like a different person. So I say to my neighbor who lived 2 houses down, I said, Elizabeth, I've been drinking this juice. It's kind of gross. I mean, it's a big bunch of green plants, right? But I feel so much better. So I'm going to make it for you for a week. And then you tell me if it's true, because we were about the same age. We both had young kids. She said, holy moly, this is like a game changer. So we took turns, and I made it for her for a week. Then she made it for me for a week. And what I learned was when it was my turn to not make the juice and it came right to my doorstep, oh, that's the princess life. Like that's the life for me, right? When I was doing the making of it, less so. So I learned just that it had this incredible power But because it's difficult, time consuming, messy to make it yourself, I thought most people just would never do it. They're just not going to give it the college try. So we started the weekly juicery, and within 2 months, we had 80 weekly customers. So it was very fast. And remember, this is 2012. Nobody's drinking juice. We made it in my kitchen right over there, and we delivered it all around town. We delivered Monday through Friday. And so we said, what are we going to call this? I'm like, we're going to call it the weekly juicer, because sure as shit, I'm not going to make this juice on the weekend. Like, I got to have a break, you know? So you couldn't tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. You just had to like fall in line, and we juiced no fruit. 0 fruit included. So for those of you who have ever tried drinking juice before, or have, you know, it was definitely, you know, customers getting this on their doorstep were like, holy, this is, you know, really vegetable like juice. But that's what really is part of the magic bullet combination. It cannot have a lot of fruit in it. And so being, you know, in the integrated space, you probably can understand that just a bad idea, drinking tons and tons of fruit sugars.
Right.
A small amount is fine, but you don't want to be, the plants are where really the magic power is. So we opened some retail stores, and lo and behold, a couple of years ago, we sort of came full circle, because what we learned again was many people, even though the juice business has exploded to great expansiveness, it is not really done so in the best way, if that makes sense. Lots of people making juice these days, most people making swamp water that has absolutely 0 magic bullet potential. And I learned that we make it in the way that, you know, that it should be made. And it really does have this kind of like wham, bam, holy moly, I feel so much better power. And so we started shipping again. We did a program called the Juice Ritual, which basically ritualizes the habit of putting in 24 pounds of organic plants into your system every single month. We do kind of a guided fast all together. We have some people that, you know, maybe they do a mini fast, 3 juices one day, dinner, 3 juices one day, dinner. We have some people, type 1 diabetics as an example, that just have 1 juice every day during the Juice Ritual week. And then we have, around 200 of us who do the full 1-day fast. So it gives our body that day of digestive rest. We know that's important, right? If we want to keep our immune system strong and really sort of grow younger, we have to have some time in digestive rest. And, you know, 24 pounds of organic plants down the hatch, it's a game changer. So that's where we are today. And we're shipping juice all over the US in a quantity of 6. That's sort of our thing, right? Can't have 1, you can't have 3. We're back to our like stodgy juice making, 6 or none. And so, yeah, that's it. That's the story.
That's fascinating. I always love to hear those origin stories and why we're led to do what we do. So my next question was going to be, so how much juice do you drink now? I see you drinking your juice.
Yes. I make sure, whether I make it at home, because I encourage all of our customers, not all of them take me up on it, but I do encourage all of our customers to try making juice at home. It's just, you know, it's sort of like the grow your own nutrition, or, you know, making your own food at home. We know that we are going to be healthier when we make our own food at home. Even if sometimes we make less healthy alternatives, we're still healthier making our foods at home. It's still a good idea to make your own juice at home and to really experience that from time to time and what that feels like. So I definitely drink probably around 30 ounces of juice a day, maybe less, but 30 would be a good, you know, I usually have 2 green juices every single day if I can, or maybe a green and a beet, you know, because they do different things for us. So at least that much. Yes. And that's happened for me for a good part of the last decade. So I've been, you know, really practicing what I preach in that regard.
It sounds like it. And so is that kind of what you recommend for maintenance? Have you found that, like, if you drink less than that you don't feel as good?
I have, yes. And, you know, some people say, is there an overload? And that's a really good question. At what point is it too much? So is it too much green plant? So in this bottle, just so that you guys can see, this is green lemonade. It's our best-selling recipe. It was one of the first. Natalia always referred to this one as liquid sunshine. You know, it's got a lot of chlorophyll from the plant because the ingredients are romaine, kale, cucumber, lemon, and ginger. So there's no fruit sugar. So I mean, it's just a really power explosion of green plants, dark leafy greens, romaine and kale, right? Cucumber, just to give it a little bit a little less of a bite, but it's still, even that said, it's still our bestseller. So, when we're drinking this, you say, how many is too many? And I've found that the more I drink, the better I feel. So I do believe that it is nature's perfect fuel source. And I do believe that it has the ability to completely change the trajectory of your health span and your vitality and your wellness game, especially when you do it on an empty stomach. I don't know if I've sort of said the second part of that is, it is important. I see people at groceries, especially the high-end groceries all the time. They'll choose a juice from the commoditized wall of swamp water, as I call it. They'll choose one, they'll sit down, and I have seen more times than not someone enjoying this some green juice with a slice of pizza, or enjoying green juice with a big sandwich. And I just want to walk over and politely tap them, although I would never do that, you guys. But I want to say to them, the return on that investment, the ROI of this just went down substantially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can put this in on an empty stomach, you can really, you can almost feel it. It feels almost like an IV of, a very high frequency food coming into the body, which we all need, right? Especially now, we want to be doing everything we can to raise our vibration, raise the resonance, raise the energy in our body to stay strong. So definitely juice goes in on an empty stomach. That's like key number one.
And is that why it's so good with fasting?
Yes. So when, most of us, not most, many of us, and you might have seen this in your practice, have lost the ability over the years, decades, of really being able to fully assimilate all the great things from, say, eating a big salad or eating vegetables as a side, even though the vegetables provide some amazing benefit for us, right? Plants are nature's perfect fuel source, and we need to be including lots of them. We might find ourselves in a position where we're not able to effectively assimilate all those nutrients and enzymes and vitamins and minerals and all the things from the plants, because we have some work to do really to clean up our digestive system, our gut microbiome, etc. Juice is a great equalizer in that game, because when we can achieve digestive rest, our liver can easily, it doesn't have to really go through the long digestive process. Our bodies can assimilate it almost as if you're having a great IV of goodness right into your cells, right? Your body has its feet up, it's on vacation, it has digestive rest. And I use the word digestive rest as opposed to fasting, although I believe that those are interchangeable to some regard and in some degree. I don't use the word fasting, and the reason I don't, because I've heard so many contradictory, maybe not even contradictory, just different opinions of when the body is actually in a fasted state and what breaks that fast. And I think there's probably a lot of bio-individuality into that answer. And so you can't deny that your body can remain at digestive rest. Requires next to no digestive effort. Has the viscosity of water. The fiber has been pulled out, right? And so that's kind of the magic bullet. Lots of plants, not a lot of fruit sugar, certified organic, no water, other weird junk added into a body that is at digestive rest. It has no work to do for digestion.
So it's like it's pre-chewed.
It's pre-chewed. That's great. Yeah, it's pre-chewed. That's great. I'll start using that. We've pre-chewed the salad. Well, and also think about just the assimilation, is kind of easy for our body to assimilate, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next thing is the high concentration, right? Because this is 4 pounds of organic plants.
Uh-huh.
If you were going to make green lemonade, and so if you guys have a pencil and paper handy, this is sort of it. You would take a whole head of romaine, the whole big thing, the root, the end of it and all, the whole big thing, 12 to 14 stalks of kale, just depending on how big they are,
Wow.
right? I find that the lacinato kale is the least favorable. Use the green leafy kale. 1 big cucumber, 1 whole lemon, and about 1 inch of fresh ginger. And that's going to make you 1 green lemonade.
Wow.
So there you have it. It is a super high concentration of organic plants, nature's perfect fuel source, into a body that is on vacation. It can be at rest. And that is when you can actually feel it moving into your body, increasing that vibration. You as somebody who works to really help people understand and know that they shouldn't feel tired all the time, right? It's not normal, right?
Right.
This is such a high energy sort of way of living and being. Your energy level just soars when you
Hmm.
are operating on nature's perfect fuel.
I love that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about organics. So I know that your
Yes.
juice is organic. So let's talk about the
Yes.
benefits of organic juice versus non-organic.
Well, I pretty much would just recommend to everybody, if you're not able to drink organic juice, just skip it. I
Mm,
personally think that the return on the investment is certainly probably, as we're looking at the benefits of the body, probably go to zero or close. And I would love your feedback here, just as your opinion. So what we've talked about so far is that one of the benefits of drinking juice, especially as an entry point into, wow, food can make me feel different, right? Certainly if you're new to that work, um, our liver can easily assimilate this. If we've got 4 pounds of pesticide, herbicide, all the other sides, our liver then is going to have to detoxify this really potent explosion, right, of chemicals out of our body. And so at what point have we either zeroed out the return on the investment of juice or even taken it to the negative? And I'm not sure where that answer lies, but I promise you that I would not and will not drink or make conventionally made juice. If it does not have a USDA organic seal on it, it's not organic. Game over. So
amen.
I honestly think one of the best things people could do, and I get asked this question a lot, and maybe you do too, what's the number one thing you could do sort of change your health and well-being, your vitality, your life? And that is stop eating conventionally grown foods, period. Nothing.
Hmm.
No convention, none. I think it's the highest up leveling you could do. And it's actually less expensive than everyone thinks. If you're willing to sort of make this a craft, you can do it inexpensively.
What do you mean? If you're willing to make it a craft, what do
Well,
you mean?
you can't just go. I have a family of 5. We have zero conventional food ever. We eat most of our meals at home. We do eat out, maybe once a week, twice, maybe.
Except not now.
Except for not now. Now we eat at home. And if people be like, "Hey, Kimmye, how you doing?" Like, this is the way. This is
Right.
not for me. I like to eat at home. I actually feel a greater sense of safety of having my food made for me at home,
Right.
and that's in any case. And maybe that makes me a little crazy, and that's okay too. But I just like making my own food at home, and that's my thing. In any case, what was I saying? Oh, so what I do is, instead of going to, let's just use an example, I'm not pointing them out, I love the place, Whole Foods. You can't just go to Whole Foods with your grocery list and buy everything that you need there. It would be prudent and wise to also look at, wow, Costco has organic berries for such an amazing price. They have organic apples at such an amazing price, right?
Mm.
So I definitely go there. At your normal grocery, whether that be Kroger, Publix, any of the big grocery store chains, I look every week there for what organic produce is on sale, because it most always and often is. Right now, as an example, I've had no trouble finding the food that I want in the grocery stores, because I don't buy food that has any really staying power. So everything that I want is still there, because, and it's on sale for the most part. So,
Hmm.
if you're willing to put in a little bit of work, and you're willing to also have, have 80% of the things you're going to eat be plants, with a small focus of maybe animal fleshes and proteins, you can absolutely feed your family with 100% organic food all the time, even if you have a big family like me. It's just, I think some people get conditioned in, I go to one grocery store, I buy everything there, and it really put a lot of time and focus on it. And another thing is just meal planning, so that you can be planned ahead and not have to rush through. So I do that every Sunday
Wonderful.
without fail. And that's a big up level too. That's another thing I
Hmm.
always say is, like, plan your meals ahead. Doesn't mean make them ahead. It just means plan them, and you'll feel so much more in control. And it's really not hard to do. It's one of the easiest things to do, really. But I think it occurs for people as something that's hard.
Uh-huh. And then it becomes less stressful.
It becomes less stressful. Yeah. Do you guys eat mostly at home in your family?
We do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm very fortunate that my wife's a great cook.
Yeah.
And yeah, and she kind of makes magic happen.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's with the flavors of nature.
Right. Right.
You know, it
Same.
smells great, tastes great, you know, like and
Yeah.
all those spices are so therapeutic.
Yes. Yes. It's very, very true. It's very true. And I've learned recently, it's an amazing thing of how our bodies are so adaptable. So it's very true for me, because often when people try green lemonade for the first time, they're like, oh, like, holy moly, that is like the greenest juice ever. And it is. But without fail, if they drink it with some regularity, we have a lot of people tell this, this testimony in the juice ritual. The first month I drank that, I thought I was going to die. Then the next month it was better. And now I look forward to it more than ever. It becomes everyone's favorite. It's our bestseller by a lot. So, people do learn, your taste buds do learn to really adapt to a more herbaceous thing that maybe at first is difficult. And the same is probably true, when you start taking out cow's dairy and you start taking out a lot of these big offenders, conventionally grown meats, and then really making sure our plate is 80% plants and maybe 20% of another thing. So, and I don't know, I'm sure in your practice you work with people on that a lot, that's a big starting point.
Right.
Or
Yeah,
a great
it's
starting point.
changing that palate is huge, you know,
Yeah.
and that it's not done overnight and you're not going to love it right away if you're coming from a
Yeah.
conventional diet.
Yeah. Yeah. Do
Absolutely.
you find in your practice that once people really do make a changeover to organics and lots of plants, that they begin experiencing a greater sense of success in the work they're doing with you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean,
Without a
at
doubt.
least as I see that most people that take on, the people that are willing to kind of give it this college try of letting go of some of the big offenders, cow's dairy, soy, nuts, seed, taking all that out for a little while, you feel so good if you can stick with it that even bringing it back, you just don't want to. It's just not
Right.
worth it. You just feel so good. And I had that experience recently, and I think I'm a pretty freaking healthy eater. But my daughter and she asked me to do the Whole30 with her. And I said, oh gosh, that sounds fun. Okay, I'll do that. So we started in February, and I don't know how many familiar with the Whole30, but it's essentially a pretty strict elimination program diet where you take out cow's dairy, you take out absolutely zero sugar, even stevia or what would be approved like a low glycemic sweetener, none of that. You can basically no processed foods. And I don't eat a lot of that anyway, but here was the trick. The trick where it got me was no legumes. So no beans,
Mm.
no legumes. And as somebody who eats 90% of my time, I'm a plant-based eater, that's a biggie for me. I thought I was going to die for the first 3 or 4 weeks with no legumes. I just realized how often I ate them.
Uh-huh.
And I would tell everyone listening here, it's a great example to be an explorer in your own body. I may never eat another bean again, because that must have been contributing to some inflammation in my body, because my rings started spinning around on my fingers.
Mm.
And I noticed like less, I didn't think I was bloated before, but it's amazing the lens that you operate in. Clearly there was inflammation sort of harbored in my body. And the only thing that I can think of was some bean or legume. And the point of the story is, for a while I really missed it, and now I don't at all. And I probably would avoid that at any cost, right? I just wouldn't go back to it because I feel
Mm-hmm.
so much better than, little known thing. So Whole30, if you haven't tried it, it's a good one.
That's so interesting. And
Yeah.
and were you soaking your beans?
I was not soaking my beans. I was just eating them. I ate a lot of black beans. I ate a lot of lentils, which obviously I would soak those. But do you mean soak in terms of like activate or sprout in
Yeah,
that
well,
sense?
you don't have to take them to sprouting, but just to get rid of the phytic acid.
Mm,
Because I wonder if that was what was
could
causing the
be.
inflammation.
Could be, could be. And maybe I would give that a try. But again, the point is I got
Mm.
myself to a point where now I just don't do that. I just don't
Right.
do that. And I remember too that even though I didn't do it often, if we had Mexican food or whatnot, I would just really want to have the chips. Like I would love having the corn chips. I just, even though they're certified organic corn chips, so that means they're no GMO corn, right? I still would want to have them. Now, when we have Mexican after that Whole30 experience, I could care less about it. It has been the most eye-opening experience. And I think the strictness of the Whole30 is what really works. because you just eventually you just get to the point where you just don't eat that anymore. And so for everybody listening, I would say, like, you could train your body to do anything relative to food. I'm convinced of it now after my experiment with the Whole30.
That's
So
great.
yeah.
Yeah, I've had so much success with the food elimination diet, removing the top 10 food allergens, food antigens, because a lot of people, I mean, not only does it help people identify how food is affecting their bodies,
Yes.
but they also don't want to go back then because
Right.
they
That's
get
me.
that feedback.
That's me. That's exactly me. If you had asked me a month or two, 3 months ago, if I would give up eating a corn chip when we're having Mexican, I would have laughed. Or if I would give up like using beans, which I used in so many recipes, I would just have laughed. Cashews, I don't even eat cashews anymore because they're technically a legume. So I really did do the program to the letter of the law. And that's when I learned I probably lost, I would say, 7 to 8 pounds, which I didn't. If somebody had asked me, wow, do you have 7 or 8 pounds? It was just the most eye-opening experience. So for anybody who has not done kind of that food elimination work with you, you should absolutely try it because it's amazing. And the same goes with juice. If you've never tried it and really given it the old college try, meaning the first day I did the Whole30, it pretty much sucked. It was like, wow, this is going to be not a lot of fun. I even put stevia in my coffee before and I quit doing that. And I haven't even gone back to that. It's like, I just stopped doing all of that stuff. And the same is true with juice. The first time you drink it, if you don't sort of go through the process, and that's what I love about the Juice Ritual program mostly, is because you're freaking committed. Once every month, even if you fall off track, we all do from time to time, we fall off maybe our healthiest eating plan or our healthiest kind of level of living. Even if we fall off the bandwagon, that's okay, because 6 juices are going to come to you and we're going to all gather together as a community that one day and that one week. And we're going to just, right the ship. There's a lot of energy and power in that. And I love hearing how once people get through like month 3 that they can't wait. I mean, that's consistently the feedback. I can't wait for the juice ritual. I'm so excited to do it. I'm so excited that the juices are coming because people, you remember and you start learning. I learned how good my body feels without the corn chips or without any beans or legumes. You sort of like, people learn how this sort of like magic bullet, I think it's as close as you can get to a magic bullet to really energize your health game and take it to the next level.
I love that. So yeah, and it seems like it's kind of like a nice baby step into eating better, because,
Yeah.
even though I talked about like the food elimination diet being great and we're talking about the whole 30 and stuff, a lot of people just aren't willing to jump into that, right now. And they get overwhelmed by it or they're just not
Yeah.
interested. So it seems like juicing is kind of a nice first step into that.
I believe that it is. And the reason I believe that is because it makes most people feel better instantly. It's not, it took me, let's say 30 days, really. I would say 30 days. I might even go as far to say, like, to be fair, I would say at least 14 days on the Whole30 before I said, wow, I think I might feel better, And as somebody, I think I have a pretty high vibration. I think I do most things right. This idea that I was doing something wrong was kind of personally affronting me. I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't really going to do anything for me. I don't know if you get that way sometimes, like, wait a minute, like I already do all these things correctly. There's absolutely no way it's going to work for me, but I'm going to play along. So my daughter wants to do it. It's great. I was shocked. So 14 days, right? It took a little while. The thing about juice, to your point, is I feel that it is the gateway for everybody into a higher level of eating, living, and being. It is a gateway in. If you've been sort of wanting to take the step to work with an integrative practitioner and really change around your whole life game, if you've been sort of thinking about maybe managing your healthcare in a different way and maybe moving to a plant-based diet, I feel juice is such, to your point, an easy first step. And it has kind of like that immediate benefit. And that's why, or feeling, you feel it instantly. You can feel it instantly. You drink it, you feel it. It's not like you drink it, you wait 4 days, or you drink it and you wait 2 weeks, like the Whole30. You drink it, I don't care who you are. You drink it on sort of with digestive rest. So maybe you have dinner the night before, you wait till about 10 a.m. the next morning to have green lemonade. You're going to feel it when you drink it instantly. Everyone. My 75-year-old father feels better. I mean, it's everybody, right? Everybody feels better. So that's what I love about it, because it's a jumping off point, right? Then you do the next thing. Then you start stacking on these really healthy habits. And before you know it, you're freaking chasing good health with all your might. You feel amazing. You're next leveling. You're trying the whole 30 and you're amazed that something else works. And it's just, you become this really explorer in the work, and that makes wonderful patients, right? That makes wonderful interactions that uplifts, you, your family, your community, everybody. You're just a model for a new way of living.
Well said. So then what is it about juice? So we talking about vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients and the energetics, or like what do you think it is that's actually working?
Yeah, I think it's two things. I think there are two big things that play a role. One, we talked about just the kind of like power packed 4 pounds of produce. It's just rare that we can experience eating I mean, you've ever seen what 4 pounds of produce looks like? It's a tray about, if you guys can see my hands, it's a tray about this big. I mean, it's a lot. You could, if you buy a head of romaine at the store, a big salad is going to be about a fourth of it cut into pieces. You're drinking the whole freaking thing in one juice. So the power and the sort of like just very nutrient dense aspect of juice is the first thing, right? That's the first thing. I believe also that the lack of, or the need for digestion is the other. Digestion is a huge energy pool for the body, right? It just requires a lot of effort. And if we're eating in the wrong food combination, if we're eating too often, if we're eating too much, just too freaking much, even of the healthy salad, right, or the healthy things, then we're really overburdening our system. This is like the underburden of the system. It is so easy for the body. So does juice have more vitamins, nutrients, enzymes? Frequency is another kind of discussion we can have, and I'll talk about that in a second. Does it have more vitamins, and minerals, nutrients than eating the salad? No, that wouldn't make good sense. But you couldn't eat the amount of produce in the juice. You just couldn't eat that much. And then when we're eating the salad, albeit healthy for us, I hope every one of you guys eating a big salad every day. I certainly do. When we're eating the salad, our body does have to do the work, right? It has to do the work of digesting. What if we're not chewing our food 20 times? What if we're not really activating the digestive enzymes first and we're further taking digestion down? Don't have to do that with juice, just down the hatch. It doesn't require a lot of energy by the body. And so that's why I believe juice is superior, right? And required, and such an important part of your health journey. If you have the ability to include high quality organic juice, you're going to feel it instantly, and it's going to just take you to that next level.
That makes sense.
But it's not that it has more, compare, the romaine that you eat in a salad and the romaine in juice form is the same romaine, right? It's the same romaine. So I don't want anybody to believe that the romaine is different or magical when it's in juice form. It's just that there's so much of it, and that it's so easy for the body and the liver especially to assimilate. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. When I was traveling in India in 2007, I spent a month there and went to naturopathic hospitals. And one of the therapies that they had was juice therapy, and because they didn't have supplements.
Right.
And so this was a way for them to get high doses of certain vitamins and minerals into people.
Yeah. And it works. I work with an integrative, physician here in Lexington, Kentucky, where we live. It's the HQ of our company. And she was the medical doctor for pilots in the Air Force flying like the fighter pilots, F-15, I don't know the exact name. And one of the things that I learned from her was, in her stories, we were really limited on what medicine, we could really offer these pilots. So if they didn't meet certain physical criteria, they just couldn't fly. And many of them had spent their entire career preparing for this, right? And she said, I started making a green and beet juice concoction for these people, and I was able to help many of them, overcome some of the challenges that would have prohibited them from being flight qualified to being flight qualified. And that's when I knew instantly that juice had a huge ability to impact people. So that was her. She said it was a nasty swamp looking concoction that I had them drink, but they would do it because they would do anything to get in that plane, right? They would do anything. So I think that's interesting that they were, that was her example of using juice as opposed to supplements, which might not have been allowed or on the approved list at that time. I would say today it's probably okay, but yeah, it's a good question. Can you get almost everything you need from juice with no supplements? I don't know. I don't think I could. I don't think I'm qualified to answer that question, but I can say you'll feel it instantly. You'll know instantly that you have done something totally different for your body. Mm-hmm. You don't have to wait 14 days like the Whole30. It's instant.
So let's talk about vitamins and minerals in the juice. So like, for example, that juice in particular, like what are we talking about in terms of it's very high in this vitamin and this mineral and stuff like that?
Yeah. If you do the juice ritual, so let's say you, kind of like sign up for a normal shipment of 6, right? What we do, and I have a couple others that I can show you, this is the inflammation tonic. So it's coconut water and it has spirulina. So another type of green that we put in. We have this one called the yellow polka dot bikini. And I'll just say, we used to be really, really good and creative back in the day. Now we're just like, it's green juice. But this one is called, we were so good back then. Now we're like, it's special moringa. That's all it's called. It doesn't have a name. Nope, it's just special moringa. But in any case, yellow polka dot bikini, you're going to say, wait a minute, sister, you just said you can't have a lot of fruits. And this one is orange. Well, it's grapefruit, orange, lemon, and ginger. But what we do with this juice is we add it. We spend an entire day drinking this juice. We add this in the wintertime to warm water to make kind of a warm tonic. And in the summer, we add it to either a clean sparkling water or still water, just to sort of jazz it up. Because you probably have heard of this before, but heavy citrus helps pull mucus out of our system when we're in a fasted state, especially. And so we do that every month. And so those are just some examples of, this one, obviously a vitamin C explosion, right? Tons of vitamin C. That's a great thing right now, right? We all want that vitamin C. So this has been a super popular juice for us. Spirulina is, if we want to take this example, it's actually a plant algae. And you probably have heard about this, but many of you might be new to spirulina. That's why it's this like brilliant blue color. We obviously didn't add any coloring or sort of like thing to make it this way. It actually comes this way. It's like a brilliant blue powder. And it's actually algae from a pond. And the way that works for us, at least as humans, it is really called the original first superfood, spirulina, the sort of the beginning. It has a complete amino acid profile. It's a protein source, if you would believe it or not. You get protein from spirulina. So it sort of like has everything we need as humans. So example there. I do not have a beet juice with me, but beets, are one of the juices that I find most people are more skeptical to drink than say even a green juice, right? So beet juices actually help our body. They're a source of dietary nitrates. If that's a new concept for you, that's okay, right? But nitrates help our body make the molecule NO, nitric oxide, and nitric oxide is responsible for giving our cells everything that they need. And there are some studies now, and I don't know if you've seen any of them, that are really pointing to this idea that when we are deficient, when our body cannot make NO effectively or in enough quantity, that's when we see a rise in chronic diseases, heart disease being number one of those. So there's actually, I couldn't provide you the source, but you could probably Google it, or Evan, you may know, you can actually do a saliva test where you spit on a card and it will tell you your nitric oxide level. It will tell you if your body is deficient. And so we want to be drinking lots of beets. Beets are one of the highest sources of dietary nitrates. So obviously beets do other things, but I'm trying to give you guys just sort of like the biggies, right? Green juices, the reason to include green juice is it has chlorophyll, which is, just the synthesized sun energy, right? Never mind, obviously you get lots of vitamins and minerals from romaine and kale. The suite of those are endless, right? And you could say that about a lot of juices, but the name of the green juice game is really chlorophyll from the plant, right? You want to, if you look outside, and I don't know where all of you guys are located, but it's spring in Kentucky, right? So lots of green. The grass is super, super green now, and all the trees are super, super green. That's a pigment, right? That's the chlorophyll. It's how the plant is actually growing. That's what happens, and that's where you're drinking in green juice. Wheatgrass. If you went to the clinic in India, most definitely they were probably doing a therapy and lots of things with wheatgrass, right? Which is the highest way that you, or the way that you'll get the most chlorophyll. So you can actually buy a little wheatgrass crank for your countertop and order a flat of wheatgrass and, just do it every day. I don't do that. I've considered, but I've not taken that step yet. So I don't know if you take wheatgrass powder or any of that stuff, but we used to sell shots in our retail stores, and we just found it was temperamental to kind of keep the demand and the supply in check. So we don't do it anymore, but Google or just research the benefits of wheatgrass, and it's amazing because of the chlorophyll. That's really the name of the game there.
Well, I think essentially you're harnessing the energy of the sun when you're drinking chlorophyll.
Yeah,
if you think about it, it's
that's
like
right.
chlorophyll, or the sun is acting on the plants. It's making that chlorophyll, that
Yeah.
making the energy of the plant, and then we're consuming it, and that's allowing us to make energy.
That's right. It's like the photosynthesis, right? If we go
Yeah.
back to science class, that's essentially what's happening. And, Natalia, I told you about her early on. My original teacher in this work, she called green lemonade. She called this is like drinking liquid sunshine. She said it's as close as you could operate as a human vessel to really operating on pure solar energy, and which is the cleanest energy source, right? And so it's funny, energy doctor. So like it's the cleanest energy source that you could actually do. And I thought that to be sort of hokey at first, because we always have to challenge things internally first through our own lens and our own experience. And so for many of you, you may be saying, yeah, right, you should really drink in liquid sunshine. But as I said, you drink it, you feel it. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how, where your health is right now. You drink a bottle of green lemonade, you feel it instantly. It happens every time. You might not like it the first time, but you will feel differently.
Yeah, I totally get that. So let's talk about alkalinity. Let's talk about acid-base balance.
Yep.
How does that play in?
Well, if we think, beer, wine, coffee, tea, soda, a lot of the foods we eat as humans, stress, lots of things cause our body as a whole, right? I know different parts of our body have different pHs that are prescribed as optimal, right? But just think about our body as a whole. We want to be operating in a slightly alkaline position. We want the pH of our body to be slightly alkaline. And that place creates a less opportune host, right, for diseases and viruses and et cetera to thrive. I always say it creates so like I want this coronavirus, if we're so bold to talk about that, I want the coronavirus to pass right by me because my body looks like a roach motel. The sign is all hanging off, all crooked. It's all dingy and dark. It's got like scum on the swimming pool. And so the coronavirus, when it walks near me, it's like, no, I don't want any part of you, lady. Like, I'm going to keep walking, right, to the next victim. And what I mean to say is like, what if the corona walked by me and it saw like sparkling lights and a nice inviting hotel with a nice pool and room service and free drinks, and the coronavirus is like, yes, this is like a place I want to live. And so it comes in, and so it just can kind of take residence. So when we have our body in a really acidic position, we're sort of like the fancy hotel, right, for viruses and illnesses and dis-ease, just a not great place for our body. When we are slightly alkaline, we're like the roach motel. No viruses and illnesses want to come to us. The beautiful thing of juice, plants, they are and provide a lot of alkalinity into our system. So you could actually probably test that. That would be an interesting test to do. I've never actually done a test of the body's pH, but that would be a great thing to do. Test it, drink green lemonade, test it again.
Yeah, and the easy way to do that is actually with a urine pH strips.
Oh yeah, that's
You can
right.
just pee on those strips and you can see what your pH is, and it's
Yeah,
usually a pretty good gauge of what the pH is of the body.
yeah, yeah. So green juice again, not because I just think it's important clarification, not because the inputs act any differently than say eating the salad. That would also provide
Sure.
alkalinity into our system. And so we want to be doing that green smoothies, things like that provide alkalinity into our system. There's the sort of power play, if you want to sort of say that, with juices, there's just so freaking much of it. There's just 4 pounds of organic produce that you don't have to digest. It's you sort of like, you should be relaxed, and your body can take it in very easily. Assimilation, that word comes back again. So easy for our body to assimilate, and there's so much of it in one green juice. So that's a very good benefit that I had not mentioned, is alkalinity. You want to keep your body in an alkaline state as
Yeah,
much as possible.
I think that's huge. It's like it's really hard to have inflammation if you're alkaline.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
inflammation is such a big buzzword, and it's associated with, everything. I tell people everything works better when your thyroid is optimized, and it's the same for your pH.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything is going to work better.
Yeah. I mean, we even call this nice blue drink here, it's called the inflammation tonic, because, spirulina is really good at deflaming. That's not even a word, I don't think, but,
I like it.
deflaming the body. It's sort of like throwing water on it. It's just like taking out the inflammation, and green juices do the same. And that's why, listing a specific benefit for each particular juice is really hard, because it sort of juice in general sort of does these things for you, right? We can pull out broad categories, or sort of why drink it. But I think in general, we just want to be thinking about it's an easy way to get an explosion of plants and alkalinity into the body while allowing your body some really important rest time, right? Because when we have this digestive rest, I always say, like, most of us, if we want to think about, many of us are more home now more often, so we're doing lots of house cleaning, right? And so digestion is like the dishes and making the bed and doing the laundry and maybe taking out the trash. You sort of got to do that stuff with some regularity, right? You're sort of doing it on the regular. It's the regular stuff, right? When you're at digestive rest, the body it's a crazy intelligent machine, right? It can say, wow, somebody did the dishes, somebody made the bed, somebody took out the trash today for me. And so I am going to see if the basement needs some attention, and I'm going to see if the attic needs some attention. And I'm going to just do some healing and attention work in those spaces, those far reaching spots in our body, that if we're never giving our body any digestive rest, it doesn't have an opportunity to do that, right? It's constantly in overwork mode, and it can't have a chance to say, wow, should I look in my attic for any problems, or look in my basement for any problems? And if we know that if we never go in our attic, we might have a leak. And if we never go to our basement, we might have a leak. And so the same thing is true with our body. It's sort of like our vessel. We have to be, the body has the ability to heal itself of just about anything, right? It's a healing machine. It just needs some time and optimal condition to do that. And digestive rest is key. And imagine pouring in nature's perfect fuel, digestive rest. It's just like this magic bullet for your health and well-being.
Yeah. There's lots of really great benefits to fasting. So I can see how that combination of the fasting plus that input of the juice would be really powerful.
Yeah, especially if you're somebody who hasn't really made the connection between or to the idea that what you put into your body is 100% responsible for the way that you feel. If you haven't made that connection, and if you haven't, there's no shame in that game. You just have this whole world awaiting you that's so powerful. What you put into your body determines, I think, how much energy you have. It's a key input to how much energy you have. It's a key input to your mental well-being. I always say it's like drinking liquid sunshine. It makes you happier. The juices create a bacteria in our gut system that tells our brain to want more of the same. It tells us to be happier, all the things. So if you haven't done that, you have such a big world sort of like waiting for you to explore. Food is absolutely the way forward to up-leveling your well-being.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
And you probably preach that all the time. So these, everyone in your sort of tribe probably knows that, but I think it's a big thing. And I always think it's important people know that it doesn't have to be with juice. You can do it with eating the orange and eating the grapefruit. It's just juice kind of gives you this, like, as I said, sort of magic bullet if you're going to do it with some digestive rest time. It's just like this power punch, even though there are never magic bullets or sort of quick fixes. This is as close, in my opinion, as you can get to your nutritional sort of like a magic bullet to really give you that eye-opening lens right away. Holy moly, I just actually feel better from drinking this green swamp that, that came in the mail to me. I can't believe that I actually feel better, but you will, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I tell people when they come to see me is they've got like 20 nails in the bottom of their foot.
Okay.
And so oftentimes we have to pull out the adrenal nail and the gluten nail and whatever.
Yeah.
And drinking juice and taking gut rest is like pulling out multiple nails at a time.
That's
It's just like
yeah, I'm going to use that. That's a great way of describing it. It just, you just get to pull out more, you get to pull out some biggies, right? At the same time, right? You're flooding your body with the fuel source and you're, allowing your body to have some rest, some digestive rest time, which we all need. We know how important it is, right? I always say another thing that you'll notice, or at least this is something that I find to be an incredible benefit for, including a day of juice in terms of fasting. And as I said, people inside the juice ritual, my advice to everybody in our group is, hey, how about we listen to our body every month when the juices come? We listen in and we say, what really feels good to me and supportive to me right now? It's not really teach people about listening in. Your body will tell you all the answers. You just have to be willing to ask the question and then to listen. Just listen. What does it actually feel like? And trust that you're right and that you can trust what your body is saying to you. So we have a lot of people who, as I said, do one juice every day during juice ritual week. We have some people that do a mini fast of 3 juices and then dinner, 3 juices dinner, or even 2, 2 and 2 and lunch and dinner. So there's a lot of ways to do it, right? But I do encourage that everybody try the full day fast at least once. And without fail, the next day when I sort of check in with them or sort of checking with our group, they say, oh my gosh, I slept like I died. I can't believe I haven't slept like this in forever. And so it took me a while to think about what is with this juice ritual sleep. I don't understand this. Like what connection am I missing here? I was just trying to think it through. And I think it's that your body, we probably, when we eat dinner, even albeit at 5 or 6 o'clock, our body probably is still working on some digestive activities through the evening. When you have a day of juice, there is none of that. So your body really is achieving this perfect rest through the evening. So yeah, it's like we sort of joke, it's like the juice ritual sleep. You just sort of like fall asleep and you almost feel like you died. The next day you wake up, you're like, what happened to me? So yeah, that was something that took me a little while to sort of figure out what is the connection, but makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we've got a couple minutes left. So let's just kind of jump into some of the really practical stuff. And you kind of touched on some of that just now with, doing the different fasting plus eating with the juices. Like, what do you recommend for a beginner? How should they start?
Yeah, so if you are brand new to eating a lot of plants, maybe eating salad and your plate is generally not 80% plants are sort of coming in, I like people to start by trying to do 2 juices, a great lunch, and a great plant-based dinner. 2 juices, great lunch, plant-based dinner. 2 juices, great lunch, plant-based dinner. If you find that you are really 2 juices too much for you, because remember, we always listen in first to see, hey, how does this work for us? Then you might decide to do 1 juice a day. And you would do 1 juice around 10 a.m. after having dinner the night before. So have a good amount of time of digestive rest. We drink the green juice and then we enjoy our lunch around 12:30 or 1. I also encourage people during the juice ritual week, if you are going to drink 1 juice a day, that you do your best, and is your best aim and intention to have a mostly plant-based diet fare that week. So even if we're carnivores, and even if we include cow's dairy in our normal, course of eating and our eating plan, that we do not do that during juice ritual week. That during juice ritual week, if we're going to have one juice a day, that we really do say, okay, I'm going to eat a lot of plants. So that's a way in. And if you feel that, hey, I eat pretty healthy. I've been doing an intermittent fasting schedule. Lots of people doing intermittent fasting now. Then it would probably be great for you to do the full, 24 hours of a day of juice. Again, if you're type 1 diabetic, I would recommend that you obviously do the one juice a day, unless your doctor tells you otherwise. That would be an example.
And so when you said 2 juices, lunch and dinner, you're talking about you wake up in the morning, 6, 7 a.m., have a juice, and then right after that or a couple hours later, have another juice?
Yep. So maybe have a juice around 9, maybe have a juice around 11, and then have your lunch around, 12:31, and then your dinner around 5:36. So I really teach people about trying to eat in accordance or sort of in tandem with, the earth's rhythm. We don't want to be eating too late at night. Ideally before the sun goes down. That's hard in the winter, right? But we want to try and not eat too late. So that would be dinner around 5:36. And then, the next day you wake up, if you're doing 2 juices, you have your first juice around 9, your next juice around 11, and then you have your great plant-based lunch and dinner again. And I always direct people to the Whole30 now for recipes. I think they do such a good job with sort of clean eating. And then I direct them to the sort of the plant-based approaches, because there are so many. Just to reinvent that wheel seems silly. So if you need some ideas, the Whole30 is a great source of recipes. I've used a lot of them over the past 60 days. And I used to try and send recipes to people. I'm like, why am I doing this? There's such a great resource. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. So to do it, you don't have to pay for the program. So there's just amazing group. So I do challenge our group to try and have the juice ritual week every month be your sort of plant-based week, right? And I think what that does for us as humans is, overall, even if we are carnivores and if we are eating cow's dairy, boy, that's such a nice break for our system one week each month, right? And even if we don't have 80% of things on our plate be plants all the time, well, holy moly, you just knock that out, right? Because you spend a whole week, really in a plant-based zone. It doesn't mean that you're starving. It doesn't mean that you don't eat enough. It means that your body feels completely nourished. We're just doing it in a different fuel source. So that's sort of my teaching there.
I love it.
Yeah. And I want to give you guys one more statistic before we start. So if you did the juice ritual for a whole year, which is the design of the program, it's $99 every month. And if you did, and that includes shipping right to your door, access to our mastermind group, all the things that you need, right? All the juices will come to you. You will have consumed 252 pounds of organic plants.
Wow.
And 244 hours of digestive rest. And if that's not chasing good health and up-leveling your life, there's no such thing. Like it is a game changer, when you think about it in aggregate that way. And, that's the thing, right? Small habits add up to this sort of like big impact and this big result in the end. It's astounding, isn't it?
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah. 252 pounds of organic plants. So even if you, like I said, even if you spend a few weeks of the month, maybe enjoying cow's dairy, if that's your thing, and it doesn't impact you, or maybe you enjoy being carnivore. And so just your human nature and makeup needs more meat. You're still going to flood your body with plants and make up for that deficit because you drink so many plants. So
right.
Yeah. I've also found that the juice ritual has really led a lot of people into a plant-based eating style, right? They sort of, they spend the week doing it and then they sort of say, wow, I don't think I want to eat as much as I used to. So, and we do fun challenges in our group. This month we're doing, kind of the lighten up with, it's all about small shifts. So, everybody in our group is doing a challenge. We're cleaning or organizing one drawer or one section of our house for every day in the month of April. So, we post before and afters. It's really fun. And you get some momentum going, after the while. And in March, we did mindset shifts. In January, we did small shifts in the kitchen, talked about inflammatory oils and, kind of natural flavoring, and we did some fun stuff like that. So it's all optional. You obviously don't have to participate, but we have a pretty good time doing it. So it's fun.
It sounds like a wonderful program. Is there anything else you want to say about the program?
No, I mean, I would love to have you guys, and you don't have to feel like you have all this experience. We have people that have come into the juice ritual that you know, had 17 Diet Cokes and a Big Mac and fries and an ice cream float yesterday. And we welcome all of them. So I always say, I don't ever like to make people feel like this is some like, super advanced, community. There are people that join from all areas, and you'll find sort of a like group. You just don't have to feel like you've had to have a lot of experience, is kind of what I'm getting at. It's open for all and welcoming to all. And even if you did that yesterday, you're still going to feel good when you drink the green lemonade. No question about it.
Nice. And then where can they learn more about you?
Yeah, so you could go to thejuiceritual.com, or on social media, you can follow us at The Weekly Juicery on Instagram and on Facebook. We also have a free Facebook group that's called Chasing Good Health. So you can join our free group. And so that kind of connects you into our work. And you can, as I said, learn more. And Evan, I'll send you a link for the Juice Ritual. And obviously we'll do a special for you guys for the first month. So if you want to go to the link we'll send, you guys, all of your listeners can have a special deal for their first month.
Awesome. Well, we like special deals. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, it'd be fun. So we'll see if you guys can, I'll try and get that to you in the next day or two.
Awesome. So last question. So if there's one thing that you'd recommend that everybody who's watching this does today, what is it?
Buy a juice machine. Yeah, buy a juice machine. It will change your life. It's the best investment I think you could make. And again, if anybody has a piece of paper, you could write this down, or I could include it in the link that I send. I recommend people get a very simple, inexpensive juice machine. It's called the Breville. Breville makes all those appliances. You probably have something made by them. And it's the JE, so J like a joy, E like extra, a JE98XL. And I've had about 10, maybe 15 of those things in my 10 years, because I use it a lot. So, it's $149 on Amazon. It's very inexpensive. And it is the easiest, I did not say easy, easiest juice machine to use. The cleanup and the sort of like, I think it's the easiest to use. And, like I said, it is something that will change your life. That $149, even if you only used it twice a week, is one of the highest investments you can make in your health and well-being. Of course, I would love to have you join the Juice Ritual. I would freaking love it. And I would love to have you switch to only eating organic food. But I feel like your investment in the juice machine is something that can keep going for you. You can involve your family, your children. You can drink juice every week, right? For, the Juice Ritual, I don't even know if I said this to you guys. It happens the first Thursday of every single month. That is Juice Ritual Day. So the first week of every month is Juice Ritual Week, right? That's when we're sort of doing the thing. You would get your juices on Wednesday of that week, and you either do the Juice Ritual in its full glory as a full fast on the Thursday, or you can spread it out and do it as you like. You would have time to do it as you like. So I don't know if I said that, but that's how it works. Yeah. First Thursday of every month, Juice Ritual Day.
Excellent. Well, Kimmye, it's been so amazing having you on. Thank you for sharing all of this great information. And I think that you did an excellent job conveying how important juice is, organic vegetables, and how it can really change people's lives. So thank you so much for being with me.
You're welcome.
Today.
And thanks for having me. I do love talking about juice. So thank you for having me. And I look forward to seeing you guys inside the Juice Ritual.